I'm just trying to create the context of grief, and that you and I do have to be, as James says, swift to hear and slow to speak, that we're processing things in the context. And so you want to reinforce those things that are usable, that are doable, that are that are obvious, and identify those areas where people are functioning, where you might can support and help. And you want to be patient, in your it takes people sometimes a while to process it. It's going to be like people that you sometimes you don't know. Maybe they've always been, very confident, very in control of things, and they can't seem to function. And it may last for a period of time, and you don't need to get impatient with that. You need to just kind of work with it and be deliberate in spending time with them, find out how you can help and assist. And then when they start reconstructing, you can help them on some of those things. In the reconstruction process, again, you don't dictate the terms for them. They'll say, I got a place for you. Here's some things you can do. But if there are things that they've been engaged in as a couple, maybe this is a real strong couple in your congregation. They were very evangelistic. They went on Bible studies together. Obviously, that immediately, abruptly changes. And so sometimes they're going to feel like there's not anything at all that I can do anymore. And when you have those conversations with them, you may just ask questions. Now, you don't bring up these conversations. When we're talking about this, I'm not saying, these are things you need to follow and say, all right, we're at the point where we need to reconstruct, here's some things you can do. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about as they go through the grieving process, reality starts setting in. They understand, the deceased person not coming back. They understand roles have changed. But now all of a sudden, everything they were ever engaged in looks different because, particularly if they were a couple, they're not a couple anymore. And so you may just have conversation. They say, that was kind of our little niche, and that's what we did. Now I kind of feel lost. Then you just have conversation with them about, are there other things you ever thought about you'd like to do, have interest in, and maybe some options there that they said, well, if I just was going to do something myself, this is what I'd do. Everything has a ripple effect, and so you don't just say, hey, we'll start letting you do that. You don't make any promises. Because in congregations, people have everybody has their little niche. And if you assign it to somebody else, now all of a sudden they're going to feel like you don't think they're doing a good job, or you took it away from them. So don't start making promises, just have conversation. And if there's somebody already doing that they want to be interested in, just say, why don't we just sit down and talk with Sister so-and-so and see if you could help her for a while. See if that might be useful to her. It might let you know whether that is something you want to participate in or not. And so you get to let Sister so-and-so have a voice in it, feel like she's contributing to it. And then this person's not obligated to take on that responsibility. She may find out she doesn't like it. Who knows? But you just have that conversation that start letting them process other things they might be able to do, that so they don't just feel like they've been put on a shelf, that everything has changed. I always ask permission to pray. I pray with people. I believe in prayer, but I don't just demand prayer. Just start praying. I'd say, is it okay with you if I had a word of prayer before I leave? Or it may be when I get there. There may be a particular decision they're trying to make, and it'll say, is it okay if I lead us in a word of prayer that we might uh, ask God to help you make the right decisions here under these circumstances, and might be able to think clearly as you process these things. And then I pray very, specifically about those things that they've asked me to pray for, whatever that is. If they're praying for want me to pray for their children, or, maybe it's a financial issue, or, I try to make it personal. We've got a God who hears, he knows the circumstances. But I ask permission, and you've heard me say that multiple times, that I ask permission to do things. I want them to know that I'm there for them, and I don't want just to become the pastor where I come in and I'm in charge and this is what we need to do. And it'll be over in a few days, a few months, you'll be back good as new, and I'll go on to the next person. I'm inoculated from grief. I don't want to create that aloofness and a place that God hasn't placed me in.